Up and down regular season. I really like where we are right now. We got all aspects of the game. We just have to continue to put it together. We're having a good time. I mean, that's really a huge part of it. We're really enjoying being with one another. We're playing well. We had a very competitive this past weekend. Would have liked to take in at least another one of those from Alabama, but I mean, we're in a real good situation right now, and we're real excited to hopefully make a deep run in the playoffs.
And now we can open up for questions. Ben?
Larissa, we haven't had a chance to talk to you since Sunday. I just wanted to ask on the call. My understanding of that was, had it been not called a home run, but video showed it was, that's reviewable, but it didn't work the other way. Is that how it was explained to you? And how important is it that these things get handled maybe differently? I mean, I'm sure it's everybody's worst nightmare that something like that happens in Gainesville or Oklahoma City or regional.
Yeah, so in the softball rule book, and it's different than baseball. So in the softball rule book, you cannot turn a dead ball into a live ball. So it's the same thing with a hit by pitch. You can't turn a hit by pitch into a foul ball, but you can turn a foul ball into a hit by pitch. It's the same exact thing with a home run. You can't turn a home run call into a live ball, because then it's at the umpire's discretion of where to put the runners. So it's real unfortunate. It's very frustrating and disappointing, especially when we have video review and we have it in the field for a reason, to get the call right. It's frustrating that it can't be right. So moving forward, I've spoken with a lot of different people on a lot of different levels. And the past 2 years, when video review is in its trial period, and the SEC had been using it and the NCAA was using it, it was in that all scoring plays could have been reviewable. For some reason, and I haven't got an answer yet, but that was removed from the rules. So it's my hope that they return it, that all scoring plays can be reviewable, to make sure. And it's also my hope that umpires learn from this and let the ball play out. I mean, our stadium in particular, we have a lot of balls that will leave the padded fence and hit that chain link fence behind and comes back in play, and everybody plays it out, and then the umpires get together to determine, was it a home run and did it clear the padding fence? And it's my hope that umpires just continue to call it that way, so no one else gets put in the situation that we've been in.
Chris, and then Eric.
Coach, afterwards, I mean, what is it? Just kind of a have to move on from it type of feel in the locker room, or did you all discuss that at all?
You know, on the field, because again, when we're on the field, we didn't know the actual call. Like, we see one thing in the dugout, Shomo obviously knows another. So it was just very different. It was confusing. And the umpires came to me when we all came together, and they had said, we want to speak to both of you, meaning Coach Murphy and myself, at the same time. And the umpires just said, it's not a reviewable call. So at that time, we didn't know if it was a home run or not. We just know that video review could not review it. It wasn't until later on in the game, I think it might have been the 6th inning, that Alabama put it up on their Jumbotron, and that's when we actually saw the ball was in play. And then obviously when we get on the bus, we can watch it 1,000 times, and we still have been watching it 1,000 times. It's frustration. I mean, it's disappointment, and it's just frustration that it comes. I mean, it's not to say that we would have won or lost, but we still want the game to be played on the field, and we don't want to come down to a human error, and that's what it is. Revenge, maybe. I mean, it's one of those where we were in such a great situation, it would have tied the ball game, and you just want the players to be able to battle it out and not come down to something like this.
Coach, good to talk to you. I'm curious, having that experience last year, going through that postseason run in the tournament as well as the NCAA, how does that help this year? That now that this group has gone through it and knows what's in store.
You know, I think what was special for us. I mean, we've had unbelievable crowds at home. everybody's on our side when we're obviously at home. We have not had a big crowd on the road other than Alabama. So going into the Alabama weekend, it was, you know what, this is going to be a great playoff experience for us, because last year we had COVID and SEC tournament didn't have large crowds. And then we go into NCAAs and we're at home again. So people love us. And it was great to be able to recognize, you know what, you're going to go into Alabama and you're going to have 4,600 people hating you. And this is going to be awesome. So it's going to be a great experience for you to be hated. And if you're hated, that means you're doing something right. And they thrived in that moment. I think Jordan Weber really enjoyed it, enjoyed the atmosphere. And she probably has the most experience on the mound. And that's really where it starts. And, you know, we have so much experience in upperclassmen that they really want to make a tremendous run and really enjoy every single moment and every single opportunity. And obviously last year gave them that experience, and they just want to live those moments again.
Ben and then Chanel.
Larissa, this team has been one of the hottest in the country for the past 2-3 weeks. What do you feel like your group collectively has figured out, or the keys to that, you know, what was a 9-game winning streak and the momentum you have right now?
You know, Ben, going into, it was the practice we had before we went to Alabama. And I sat them all actually in the visitors dugout. And I said, talk to me about, reflect back to where we were a month ago. And why were we in that position a month ago? And why are we where we are right now? And Kim Wirt was the first one to speak up. And she had said, we were trying to be something that we weren't. We were trying too much. We were trying too hard. We were trying to replicate rather than just do what we know how to do. And when you're continually looking in the rearview mirror and looking at the past and trying to put it the exact same numbers and have the exact same moments, and almost to the point where it's controlling you, you lose your own individual identity on what this team needed to do and who this team was, because this team is different than we were last year. And once it was really after the Ole Miss series, it was like, this is terrible. We are not having a good time. Let's get out of our own way and let's just start having fun and start playing ball. And that's really what they started to do. And then what I was able to do is recognize more on my reactions and pay attention to how I was reacting to failure. And if I was feeling the frustration and gritting my teeth, then they obviously were feeling that same thing too. So then I started to celebrate failure and commend them for swings and misses, because when they're swinging and missing and they're being aggressive, that's the mentality I want. And that's where it really started to shift. And I saw that in that first game against Georgia, and we were so overly aggressive and had double-digit strikeouts, but it was the first time I saw them not afraid to fail. And then that's really what carried into where we are right now.
Coach, as you guys are kind of on this high note right now, coming off of all of these wins and you're getting into tournament play, how do you just make sure that your team still stays humble as they're taking on a good opponent like Auburn? You know, we like being the underdog mentality. Like, we've gone in, and I've talked a lot with Coach Smith with Mizzou Wrestling, Tiger Style. I'm not supposed to say Mizzou Wrestling, but Tiger Style, and just talked about the underdog mentality. And he's like, you go in and you just treat it, and you tell the players that no one respects you, that you have to respect yourself, and you go in with that chip on your shoulder, that blue collar mentality, and you just outwork everybody, because no one is going to ever give you the game. They don't respect you. They don't expect you to win. So you're always going to be the underdog. And we play really, really well when we have that mentality.
Dave.
Hey, Larissa, I didn't want to catch you off guard, but just want to ask if you've reflected at all recently, just on the tragedy, what happened at James Madison. And you guys had that great series with them last year. And I know you know the staff there. Just any thoughts on what they're going through?
You know, very, very tragic. I cannot imagine what Lauren is going through, their head coach. And it hit really close to home. I mean, just because we were so familiar with them, obviously our coaching staffs are really familiar with James Madison, and then recently just playing them. But it gives us more an opportunity, and it's upsetting that it has to come down to someone taking their own life to be able to create that dialogue. But it's allowed us to have more conversations. And it's also allowed, I mean, you have teenagers and 18 to 22-year-olds, and you have to have some serious conversations now. And then it's not okay to just joke around and saying, you know, my life sucks. Well, if you really truly feel that way, then we're going to have to get you help, but it's not okay to just make it a joke about it. So it's putting a lot more seriousness into this. And then it's also really paying attention to how much stress these athletes are under and the amount of pressure and what social media does. We had a really heartfelt conversation in the locker room, and I read them the poem that Teddy Roosevelt wrote about the man in the arena. And just explaining that you can't listen to the critics, you can't listen to the comments on social media, and people can be cruel and they can be hide behind their keyboard, but no one knows what it's like to be in this locker room. And we have to be strong for each other and they take care of one another. And it's unfortunate that it did take a tragic event, but these are the conversations that we all need to have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Matt?
I'm sorry to follow that up with just a softball question, but it seemed like there hadn't been a lot of issue even in the Alabama series with getting runners on base, but how important is it going to be for this tournament to turn just more of those into runs?
Yeah, we left quite a few people, especially in game 2. I think we left 12 on base and then maybe 8 or so in game 3. It's about having loud outs. And I did see that we didn't have very competitive outs, and it's okay to have a strikeout, but it has to be competitive. We can't throw it away. And we just have to bear down and maybe be a little bit more selective with our pitches in those situations and not press and try to do too much. And again, at the same time, and you see it in events like senior day, and you see it in playoffs where people want to succeed so much that they try to do more, and they just have to remain calm and let the game come to you. But yeah, when you're at this level and you're going into the playoffs, and every single pitch, the game is going to be on the line. So they have to really jump those opportunities that they have.
Chris?
Coach, I think the expectation is that you get Maddie Pena tomorrow. How do you approach someone like that who's had such a good year, and maybe any specific adjustments to her?
Someone like Pena, she throws extremely hard. She's conveniently wild. She doesn't have that pinpoint control, but she has control enough that she throws the ball to the zone, but you cannot sit on one side of the plate. So we have to be able to hit, we have to be ready to hit everything. That's going to be the big message going into tomorrow, is you don't wait for her to make a mistake. You jump over every single opportunity that you have. And we got to put the pressure on them. But it's going to come down to our pitchers making good pitches to keep them off the scoreboard, but being able to really put the pressure on them and capitalize on when she does leave the ball over the heart of the plate.
Eric?
Coach, you mentioned earlier about how when you felt that the team kind of turned the corner. I remember watching you in Lexington. You were doing one of those in-game interviews, and you had a big smile on your face. And I remember thinking, I wonder if she felt like the team had turned her. Did you feel at that time that this team had turned a corner, that this wasn't just, hey, this was just one good weekend or one good game? We've turned a corner here.
I felt it in Georgia. I felt it when we were playing Georgia in game 1. Even though we lost game 1, I felt so good about what I saw, because it was like the weight was just lifted off their shoulders. They went into the SEC play, we're going to win the regular season and we're going to go back, and they were putting so much pressure on themselves. And when we lost the 2 games to Tennessee, it was that they were pressing and they were trying to do too much and trying to get everything back. And then it was Georgia where I could actually see them relax and be there. Kentucky was, we had so many things going right. We obviously were seeing the ball really, really well. We love playing in that stadium. And I just think when we played a night game on Saturday, a day game on Saturday, we had a 7 p.m. Sunday and a 7 p.m. Monday game. So we had a lot of time, and I gave them the freedom to go to a concert. They went and saw Chris Stapleton and Sheryl Crow and Willie Nelson concert. And it was kind of the first time, that I've ever done that as a coach, that I allowed them to go to a concert during a conference series. But it was kind of like I was sending them a message on, playing at Mizzou is really about life experiences. Yes, we're going to play ball. We're going to be really, really competitive, but we're going to take advantage of the places we can travel to that you may never go to ever again. So why not? And it was kind of, they sat back and appreciated the opportunity, and now we can just go out and have fun, not put so much pressure on ourselves to perform.
Anything else for Coach?